Grace Whitmore steps off the train in Pine Ridge, Wyoming, her dress torn and bloodied from a recent assault by drunks on the journey. Shaken and alone, she scans the empty platform until a deep voice calls her name. Colt Mallister, a weathered 46-year-old rancher with a scarred cheek and thundercloud eyes, approaches silently. Noticing her distress, he drapes his coat over her shoulders without a word, offering quiet solace. As they ride away in his wagon, Grace learns that Colt's brother wrote most of the letters that brought her west. He passed away the previous winter. The revelation stings, but something in Colt's steady presence makes her heart falter. The wagon arrives at Colt's modest ranch. A leaning cabin, a dilapidated barn, and a struggling corn patch. Inside, the simplicity grounds Grace. A worn table, chairs, and strong black coffee that draws her first soft laugh. Outside, Colt kneels in the dirt with a measuring tape, proudly declaring the soil is 11 inches deep, the good stuff that'll feed us. Grace blushes fiercely, misunderstanding his words as something intimate and improper. She steps back, insisting she came for marriage, not that. Colt laughs warmly, clarifying he meant the fertile earth, turning her embarrassment into shared laughter and a spark of hope as the sun sets. That night, wind rattles the cabin as Grace lies awake, haunted by train memories. She notices Colt pacing with a limp, a remnant of a 1893 rodeo accident. They share quiet words by the window, fostering respect. Over the following weeks, Grace adapts to ranch life, milking cows, cooking, and learning to aim a rifle with Colt standing close behind. They hum tunes together, laugh until their sides ache, and he silently supports her through nightmares with coffee by the fire. One evening, as the sun melts behind the hills, Grace confesses the ranch feels real to her, binding their hearts amid unspoken secrets. By mid-July, the ranch flourishes slightly, and Grace finds comfort in daily rhythms. Searching for Colt, she discovers him kneeling by a small wooden cross in the far field, a grave for his brother, Tim Mallister, whose faded photo hangs in a locket. Colt admits Tim wrote the letters to give hope to the ranch and to him, not out of pity but to preserve a dream. Grace feels betrayed but steps closer, offering to share the burden. Their touch feels like belonging, not mercy, as rain suddenly pours, washing the land and hinting at deeper forgiveness. Rain vanishes by mid-August, cracking the earth and browning the crops. The well runs low and neighbors dam the creek, claiming a debt from Colt's brother. Grace's hope clashes with Colt's growing despair. He snaps and withdraws, questioning if the land is worth fighting for. She confronts him under a red moon, urging a fight against the drought and people. Lightning flashes as their resolve strengthens, but whispers of trouble from town loom like an approaching storm on horseback. The heat intensifies, but Grace pushes Colt to believe in the 11-inch soil's potential, insisting faith, not just water, sustains. They dig trenches together, defying whispers from passing neighbors. Covered in sweat and dust at sunset, Grace reminds him the West rewards the stubborn. They share a tired laugh, planting roots of resilience. The scene fades on the lesson that when life dries out, dig deeper. Faith is the only rain that matters, as the promise of an impending storm hangs in the air. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the cracked earth, Grace wiped the sweat from her brow and leaned on her shovel. Colt stood beside her, his breath heavy, eyes scanning the horizon where dust devils danced like restless spirits. "We ain't done yet," he muttered, more to himself than to her. But before she could reply, a low rumble echoed, not thunder but the thunder of hooves. 3 riders crested the hill, their silhouettes sharp against the fading light. They wore wide-brimmed hats pulled low, bandanas masking their faces and rifles slung across their saddles. Grace's heart seized. These weren't neighbors come to help. Colt straightened, his hand instinctively dropping to the revolver at his hip. "Stay behind me," he whispered, his voice a steel edge. The lead rider, a burly man with a mustache curling like smoke, reined in his horse just shy of the fence. "Mallister," he growled, spitting tobacco juice into the dirt. "Heard you been digging where you shouldn't. That creek water's ours now, payment for what your brother owed." Colt's jaw tightened. Tim paid his debts in life. "You got no claim here." The riders laughed, a harsh sound that grated like sand in the wind. One of them, younger with wild eyes, cocked his rifle. "We ain't asking, old man. Hand over the deed or we'll take it ourselves." Grace stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear clawing her throat. "This land's earned with sweat, not stolen with guns. You touch it, and you'll answer to more than just us." The leader's eyes narrowed on her, amusement flickering. Feisty bride, ain't she? But words won't save you from the dry. With a nod, they wheeled their horses, firing a warning shot into the air that echoed across the prairie. As they galloped off, dust choking the air, Colt turned to Grace, his face etched with worry. They're coming back. We need a plan. Night fell heavy, the cabin's fire crackling like a wary heartbeat. Grace paced the floorboards, her mind racing faster than the wind outside. Colt sat at the table, oiling his revolver under the lantern's glow, his limp more pronounced from the day's labor. I should have sent you back east when I had the chance, he said quietly, not meeting her eyes. This fight's mine, not yours. She stopped, kneeling beside him, her hand covering his. It's ours now, Colt. I didn't cross half the country to run from shadows. He looked up then, his thundercloud eyes softening, revealing the storm of emotions within. Grief for his brother, fear for the ranch, and something warmer, deeper for her. You remind me of him, you know. Tim had that fire. Always believed in second chances. As the fire popped, Grace shared her own scars. The assault on the train, the loneliness that drove her west, seeking not just a husband, but a home. Colt listened, his rough fingers tracing hers gently. I lied about the letters to keep his dream alive, he confessed again, voice breaking. But meeting you, that's my dream now. Their faces drew closer, the air thick with unspoken longing. Outside, a coyote howled, but inside, a tentative kiss bridged the gap between sorrow and hope. Yet as they pulled apart, a distant gunshot shattered the night, the riders testing their resolve. Grace's resolve hardened. We'll fight smart. Tomorrow we ride to town, rally who we can. Colt nodded, pulling her into his arms. For the first time, the 11 inches of soil felt like a foundation, not just earth, but fate. Dawn broke crisp, the sky a bruised purple as Grace and Colt hitched the wagon and rode into Pine Ridge. The town was a cluster of weathered buildings, a saloon spilling drunken laughter, a general store with faded signs, and a sheriff's office where dust gathered like forgotten justice. Word of their trouble had spread. Folks whispered behind hands as they passed. At the saloon, Colt confronted the leader from the night before, now unmasked and nursing a whiskey. Jed Harlan, a cattle baron with a grudge against the Mallisters. This ends now, Jed, Colt declared, his voice carrying over the piano's tinny notes. The debt's a lie, and you know it. Jed smirked, his cronies flanking him. Prove it, cripple, or hand over the land. Grace, standing tall beside Colt, pulled out a crumpled letter from her bag, one of Tim's last detailing payments made. Here's your proof, she said, slamming it on the bar. The room hushed. The sheriff, an older man with a star pinned crooked, stepped in. If that's true, Harlan, back off. But Jed lunged, grabbing for the paper. Chaos erupted, fists flying, chairs splintering. Grace dodged a swing, grabbing a bottle to smash over an attacker's head. Colt fought fiercely, his limp no hindrance in the brawl. As the dust settled, Jed lay groaning, the sheriff cuffing him. You're done terrorizing folks, the lawman said. Outside, townsfolk cheered tentatively, some offering water barrels as apology. Grace and Colt rode home victorious, but a dark cloud loomed. Rumors of Jed's brothers vowing revenge. Back at the ranch, exhaustion clung like dust, but hope sprouted anew. Grace tended Colt's bruises by the well, her touch lingering. We did it, she whispered. He pulled her close. No, you did. That fire in you, it's what this land needs. As they kissed under the midday sun, thunder finally cracked the sky. Rain poured in sheets, soaking the parched soil, filling the creek, reviving the corn. Laughter bubbled as they danced in the downpour, mud splattering their clothes. But joy was short-lived. Riders appeared again, Jed's brothers, guns drawn, seeking vengeance. This ain't over, one shouted over the storm. Grace grabbed the rifle Colt had taught her to use, standing shoulder to shoulder with him. Lightning illuminated the scene as shots rang out. Colt took a graze to the arm, but Grace's steady aim felled one horse, scattering the others. The brothers fled into the tempest, defeated for now. As the rain eased, Grace bandaged Colt, her voice firm. Give me the full 11 inches, Colt, not just the soil, but your heart, your trust. We'll build this together. He smiled through the pain. It's yours, Grace, all of it. The ranch bloomed under the fresh rain, a testament to their unyielding bond. Yet whispers of greater threats, outlaws drawn by the feud, hinted that their story was far from over.